And hello and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll discuss how neighborhood redevelopment affects one's health. We'll give you more details a little later on in the show. Then, we're going to talk about how the importance of social workers specifically trained to support young people with issues surrounding mental health. We'll introduce you to that a little later on. And we'll learn about an upcoming annual conference that's celebrating women's journeys. And we'll talk about a community platform that's showcasing poets' talents through creative verbal expression. And then finally, we'll speak with a self-published author on her journey of self-reflection, growth, and healing. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren, Jaime. You are watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on Eminence channels. Now you can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on through the course of the past week, and we're going to take you through it with some Bronx updates. And we start off with city news. The city council passed a slate of bills in an effort to prevent lithium-ion battery fires. Now, according to the fire department, over the past 2 years, lithium-ion batteries have caused a record number of fires, with the batteries powering e-bikes, e-scooters, as the vast majority of those incidents. Now, some of the bills in the package restrict what kinds of batteries are available for purchase. Others aim at improving outreach and education about the dangers of the batteries and the proper use of e-mobility devices, which delivery workers in particular rely upon to do their jobs. In other news, according to a new law, economic abuse victims will be afforded all of New York City's protections for survivors of domestic violence. New York City Mayor Eric Adams signed the bill expanding the definition of domestic violence to include financial abuse. Now, the mayor stated, quote, "We look at physical and mental abuse often, but ignore the financial abuse. If you're trapped in homes because of your economics, you're being abused in many ways, and this bill seeks to address that." New York City's human rights law prohibits discrimination against people who experience domestic violence. Well, that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We got more Open when we return.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
Analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I am more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree, and today I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
Researchers at Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Montefiore Health System have received a 4-year grant to study how neighborhood development affects cardiovascular disease among older Black and Hispanic residents in the Bronx. And joining us now to tell us more details is the Director of Department and Family Social Medicine Research Division, Earle C. Chambers. And Earle, I'll start off by giving a little disclaimer. I said neighborhood development, it's really neighborhood redevelopment. And thank you for joining us. And I guess the operative question is, when you talk about neighborhood redevelopment, cardiovascular health, make the connection for us, because somebody's saying, okay, how do the two intersect?
Right, sure. I mean, I think, if you think about neighborhood and neighborhood access, right? So redevelopment is what happens when there is an investment in communities and it changes your access to resources. So it can redevelop in ways that increases the amount of housing. It could add additional resources to eat healthy, to exercise, to have access to healthcare. So when we talk about redevelopment and heart health, there are a number of health behaviors that we think about for healthy heart. Trying to quit smoking, increasing your exercise, a better health, more sleep. So all of those things can be affected by the access to the resources in your neighborhood. So when redevelopment happens, you're able to access these kinds of things like exercising or eating more healthily as new stores come about or more investment happens in parks, and you're able to have a better chance at increasing your heart health by engaging in these different healthy activities.
So you got there's a 4-year study, and there's going to be this survey that goes out to study. Give us a little bit about how this is going to play out.
So what we're intending to do is we're going to look at a neighborhood that's undergoing a redevelopment currently, and we're going to look at our patients that live in those areas. So we're going to look at different health outcomes, looking at their weight, their height, different heart health outcomes like heart attacks and stroke and those kinds of things. And we're also going to survey them. So we're going to ask a lot of questions about their health patterns, their health behaviors, and make a connection between that and the neighborhoods as it's changing over time, and ask them about questions about how they're accessing these resources. So, for example, sometimes when neighborhoods change, it doesn't change in ways that is of benefit to all residents. So we want to better understand that. Some of our older residents, they may have difficulty accessing new resources as they come about. So we want to better understand that. So we're going to do surveys, and we're going to also look at their health outcomes as we can get from their clinical record when they come into the hospital system.
When we look at it and all is said and done, what are you hoping to be able to gain and prove through this study?
We want to be able to provide evidence, or at least provide city planners and also advocates that are looking at neighborhoods and how they change for the better or the worse for their residents. And so what we're hoping to do is provide data that is able to show that as neighborhoods change, these are the kinds of resources that our residents can benefit from if they're able to access them. And so basically it's just to provide more evidence in support of how our different neighborhoods, as they redevelop, can be of benefit to the residents that have been living there.
For yourself, to arrive at the place where you're saying, listen, redevelopment, heart health, the fact is there are some people who really are adversely affected, correct?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we know that for some of our older residents that are if they're able to remain in these neighborhoods as they change, some of these old places that they've been accessing, like certain supermarkets or stores, different access to resources, those things may not be able to remain as the neighborhood changes and things change. So the question is, as these new resources come on, are they able to access them in ways that they were able to before? So are they better able to access these healthy options when these healthy options become available? So that's what we're trying to better understand in our older residents as these neighborhoods change.
For the study, when will people be able to see it? How do people participate in it?
Well, it's just starting now, so we're just at the beginning stages of developing the project. In the next few months or so, we'll start to contact potential patients and start surveying people. So just be on the lookout for if you live in sort of these redevelopment areas and you get a call from us about the study, then we're hoping that you will consider participating.
For yourself, I know it's been a very, you're intense in this because this is a part of what you want to see happen. You want to know. How do you think the community will benefit after all is said and done?
Well, I think what we're trying to show is that there are ways for us to be able to redevelop neighborhoods that are of benefit to the residents that have been living there for years. And so one of the big concerns when redevelopment happens is that people are displaced, right? They're no longer able to remain in these neighborhoods as these neighborhoods get quote unquote better. So what we're trying to show is that with careful redevelopment, we can also make sure there's resources that are available for the people that have been living there and really been advocating for these changes for years.
Have you seen the study done in other places across the country?
There have been studies, many different kinds of studies that have looked at these issues of what happens in redevelopment happens in different kinds of health outcomes. The one that we're doing now is comprehensive in that we're looking at a lot of different kinds of changes. So the redevelopment is increasing the amount of housing and affordable housing. It's also increasing the access to different kinds of food options and stores that are available in these areas. There is an investment in the parks in these areas, so for them to become more accessible. It is a full-on kind of redevelopment effort, and we're trying to capture all of that, and most importantly, trying to look at how it affects the heart health of our residents that we serve in these places that are starting to redevelop.
Yeah. So if people want more information, how do they go about finding out?
Well, as I said, we're just starting to study now. I'm very easy to reach. I'm available. I'm at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Montefiore Health System. And anybody can sort of reach out to me if they have any questions or want to learn more about the study. But in the coming months, as we start to develop our project and things can start getting moving, then you'll be hearing more and more about it.
As you've done the work so far just to get to this point, is there anything that stuck out in particular for you as a major point that say, aha moment, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, so for the whole sort of beginnings of this idea to look at heart health as it relates to redevelopment is really just born out of community efforts to really take control of these redevelopments and advocate for the health interest of the people that live in these areas. So this is an extension in my mind of just ongoing work that communities have been doing for a while now to try and really better able to access these new resources when they come online. So,
yeah. Well, Earle Chambers, I want to thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to be looking out to hear how the study turns out and the connection between neighborhood redevelopment and cardiovascular health. So thanks a lot.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All righty. Well, listen, now, if you want more information, don't hesitate to visit the website, einsteinmed.edu. Also, follow them on Instagram and Twitter at EinsteinMed. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back. We got more Open coming up right after this.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, backpack kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life's lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
It's time.
Pasta and chocolate dinner.
Oh, it's really good.
Pasta dinner.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Man, welcome back. March is Social Work Month. JCCA provides the highest quality child welfare and mental health services to more than 17,000 children and families every year. And here now to share more, we've got the director of Westchester Day Treatment, MST-Fit, Budy, Garcia-Whitfield. And Budy, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us and for just spreading this awareness during Social Work Appreciation Month.
Yeah, well, it's a lot that you do and a lot of services you actually also provide too. For those that may not be so familiar with JCCA, talk to us a little bit about the services and how you're able to impact the community.
Absolutely. So JCCA has actually been around for over 200 years. We provide an array of services, not only as it started as a child welfare agency, but we have expanded to become leading experts in behavioral health and wellness. We have preventive programs. We have an unaccompanied minors foster care program, regular foster care. We have a Article 31 clinic, which is providing mental health, outpatient mental health services in the community, in addition to our residential programs. And we have continued to expand, and now we have a day treatment program serving youth who are in a school setting who require mental health services. So the agency has grown exponentially over the years, providing services to our underserved population.
And when we look at the services, obviously a great deal of history has been there. You guys have done great work. Women, I'll talk about particularly young women. A lot of issues when it comes to mental health and that crisis. When we're looking at the crisis amongst our young women, what are you seeing?
When I'm seeing the crisis amongst our young women, I'm seeing an uptick in mental health concerns. We are seeing more and more young girls suffering from depression, expressing more and more suicidal ideations, intent, suicidal-like behaviors, cutting, involved in more aggression, fighting. Substance use has also increased in a lot of girls, a lot of teenage girls.
And when we look at that, that's quite alarming. So how do you combat that? Knowing the fact that all this is out there, you as a social worker, how do you combat that?
It's important that we build a relationship, right? What happens is when you move into adulthood, it's interesting how as adults, some people don't know how to express and point an emotion as to what's going on. It is important for you to work with an adolescent, especially adolescent females, on emotional regulation, emotional management, to understand where they experiencing trauma, where they're experiencing an intense need of emotions based on what's going on with life stressors. As we see with schools, sometimes school violence can resort to adolescents not wanting to go to school, lack of resources, lack of housing, lack of support with parenting. There has to be an interconnectedness between the parent and the school system, but also having someone to coach and mentor these adolescents in order to help them live a fruitful life and enter into adulthood with less stigma, with less impact and behavioral issues.
When I look at where we are right now, coming out of COVID, a lot of people had to really deal with the fact that, listen, we're home together. But with that comes abuse sometimes. And we know domestic violence was up. Numbers of domestic violence and domestic violence cases come up. When we talk about young people, the same thing. We see those numbers rising. Give me a little bit from your lay of the land. What do you see in terms of the numbers rising and also the services that are available? Because if we don't deal with that, then a person grows up and they never deal with it, and then at some point they hit a wall.
Yeah. So let's go back. The pandemic hit. There was an increase in adolescent mental health as far as like depressive symptoms. And so research has shown that we haven't paid much attention to it because sometimes we dismiss adolescents' behaviors for hormones. They're going through puberty. They're having all these changes. So our adolescents have now had to keep up with the times. And what are the times is social media. Social media has been so important. If you see an adolescent out there, they are attached to their cell phones like never before. They go to the bathroom, they eat, they're waking up, brushing their teeth, they're going to bed with partners over the phone. They have this intense attachment. But what's happening is that adolescents are taking what's on TikTok, what's on social media as face value. They are thinking that if you see this TikTok person who says, I pull my hair and I'm experiencing eating more, that already you're diagnosing yourself with anxiety. And so that's what we have to kind of be careful in scaling back and understanding that, yes, we have entered a new dimensional world with social media and technology being right at their hand. It's how we monitor it safely for them. As far as services, it is important in the social work field, especially, that we connect. But there is specialized training that you should have when working with adolescents who specifically have trauma, like through therapeutic, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, through EMDR, which are different therapeutic modalities that you can utilize in order to work with the adolescents. So the importance is connection. The importance is training. The importance is connecting the adolescents back to their community. At the end of the day, when they leave their house, they are connected. So whether that's the community in school, that is their community of origin, that is their culture community, all of these things play a big factor in trying to help support an adolescent lead a successful life, but also to heal from some of their experiences that they're going through.
You talk about having an adolescent heal and become better. How important is it having a social worker involved in their life?
It is super important. And I'm not just being biased because I'm a social worker, right? I've been in the field for 18 years, but all seriously, there's always that social worker, if you could think about it, that makes a lasting impression. And I'll just share a quick story. I was on Fordham Road shopping, and I didn't realize this was many, many years ago. It's about maybe 8-10 years ago. And I had someone stop me, and I was like, Miss Garcia, I still remember you. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for investing in me. And thank you for making a difference and listening to me. Social workers are important because our career is not a one cookie cutter approach. We are advocates. We are therapists. We are doing the work when it comes to critical race theory and changing the dynamics. We are in there to help support and navigate and break down the same systems that have broken us down. And so a social worker looks at things from an ecological and a global perspective. It's not just paying attention to the humanness, but it's also seeing how the community plays a role, how your family plays a role, how physical, health, mental, financial, everything plays a role in what's going on with you. And the uniqueness with a social worker is that they're able to come in and come with that ecological lens to try to support you as the individual so that you can grow.
Well, Budy, I want to thank you so much for giving us that inside look. I think it's important, and I think it's really important that we understand the life of social work. The work that you do is critical, and I think sometimes we diminish it, but as March is Social Work Month, we want to thank you for the work that you're doing, the lives that you're impacting, and the difference that you're making. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All righty. We want to thank her for joining us. And listen, if you want more information, visit the website, jccany.org, and then also follow them on social media at JCCANY. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up right after this.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
I don't know if
so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa, los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
And we are back. The Center for Bronx Not-for-Profits is convening a training and resource sharing organization which strengthens the capacity of local community leaders and organizations serving the Bronx and other boroughs. The center is hosting its annual conference celebrating women on March 24th. And the question is, what do those need to know prior to attending? And joining us now, we got the Center for Bronx Nonprofits at Hostos Community College's Eileen Newman. And Eileen, good to have you and good to be with you one more time. And it's an exciting time for this month as we are celebrating Women's History Month.
Right, it is. It's very exciting. And this is an exciting way to celebrate it by bringing women together. This year, as in the last few years, we're bringing women together virtually rather than in person. But it's been very successful to do that because we can also get women from all over the world who find out about this conference and sign in. So it's always a great opportunity for women to share with each other what they do and who they are.
It's a diverse opportunity too, Eileen. I think when you talk about the women that you have coming to the conference, there's a lot of diversity there. And for people, they have an opportunity to tap into a variety of different trades.
Right. It's a conversation about what women do, but the do is pretty broad. Because we have people from, our keynote speaker is Misha Porter, who was the, I always forget whether it's a chancellor of the New York City Public Schools and is now the first CEO of the Bronx Foundation. So she's going to be setting us off. And then we have 15 women who answer 3 questions. Who are you? What do you do? And why do you do it? And so we have a base that goes from artists to an actress who, if people remember the show Kimmy Schmidt, they might recognize Sol Miranda. She'll be with us. We also have many, many people who are running nonprofits. We have the head of Bronx Defenders, the head of Community Resource Exchange. We have people who are also working in the for-profit sector. We have a woman who has been working for years in a neonatal portion of a hospital, and she'll be and then who became a filmmaker, made a film about that. And then we have a woman who started a nonprofit when she had a preemie child, and her nonprofit is dedicated to making clothes for those little lives and providing all of this for people who also have preemie children and are sort of unprepared for how do you clothe them? What do you do to keep them warm? So it's a very diverse group of people.
So as I said before, we talked about diversity and what that actually means, right? Having a diverse group of people. So what is the takeaway that you're hoping when you have this group of people who get together, have conversations, seeing these people in diverse backgrounds? Certainly there's a takeaway.
So the takeaway that we always hope for is that there will be people who will have an opportunity to meet people, even though it's virtual still, there is opportunity to exchange information so that maybe they want to work together on a project. Maybe they just want to know each other. Maybe their eyes will be open to something that they didn't even realize existed, because some of these nonprofits have and the for-profits have been a little bit off the radar. So it's all about communication, but it's also all about highlighting what women do. And by that I mean not just the answer to what do I do, and then we think of it as a job, but it's how do women balance everything in their lives. The conversations began and the conference began when I started to think about the women who are attending Hostos Community College. Um, I think the numbers are up to around 65% women who attend the college. In many cases, they have children, they may be dealing with aging parents, they may have jobs. And I started to think about how much we need to honor them and all the other women who are juggling so many things in their lives. And today I was listening to some of the programming that's all about Women's History Month and International Women's Day, and somebody used the word boldness, and I think that's what we're celebrating. We're really celebrating the boldness and the tenacity of women that every day we recognize and we see, and we always say that this is a conference dedicated to women doing extraordinary things, and they're women who wouldn't call themselves extraordinary, and that's what makes it so special.
And go over once again our focus for this year. What's the focus that you have going on?
The focus is really this year, I feel like the focus is the power of women and the power and the boldness of women. We always have a sort of a one-off topic, and I think that's really what it is. And it's also, but I always think it's also about women and the relationships that they build, and that they build within their community and that they build outside, so that they're continuing to create community. So this is an opportunity for women to create community in the Bronx.
What's the experience like for you, given the fact that here you are hosting women, all these women getting together, and professional women with various expertise? What's that experience like for you as a convener, and then just also as a woman?
It's amazing. I love doing this. I love everything about it. I love the fact that in December, I start putting the names of the 15 women together. And it makes me think, oh, I know these incredible people that other people need to know. And the other thing that always happens on a more dramatic level is that I always cry. Someone makes me cry. This year, when I was talking to somebody about, and I won't tell you who it is, but when I was talking to somebody about being part of the conference, I cried in my office. I didn't even make it to the conference. So it was a mess before I even got here. So it's because I'm so in awe of the extraordinary things that women are doing every day, and they're unrecognized. And you know, if you think about a day where you get up in the morning and you've got kids to take care of, and you've got a class that you're trying to get to, and you're figuring out how, and that the trains don't work, and somehow women get through. I'm also a teacher in the graduate, one of the graduate programs at Lehman, and I had women. It's a 1-year master's. It's a killer, but fabulous, right here at Lehman. And I had a woman who would get up every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning to do her work for the program, because everything else started at 5 o'clock in the morning, including her kids.
There's so many diverse stories that you can talk about, because, you know, you got single parents, you got divorce, you got those who are really trying to make it after being laid off, the COVID story. Are you hearing anything that really resonates with you? You talked about one, but is there any other stories that really resonate with you, that really say, man, the power of a woman?
I think that one of the people who is going to be speaking is Justine Alderman, who is the executive director of Bronx Defenders. And she may tell this story, so I may be telling it, but it's always great to hear it twice. So Justine was a young lawyer. She was in court. There was a situation where somebody was arrested and was going to be imprisoned. And Justine started to cry. And the judge said, she's never going to be a lawyer. She's never going to be a good lawyer. And instead, Justine is an incredible lawyer who has been running this organization, not only helping families whose family member might be incarcerated, but dealing with all the things that happen when that happens. Housing, loss of an income. And I think that that Justine is an example of bringing humanity into such a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And so she's one of my examples.
Well,
and she's fun.
Looking forward to seeing and hearing about the virtual conference. Of course, I won't be attending, but we'll check back in with you. And you let me know how it goes. And certainly, I know that there's a lot of planning going on, but thank you, Eileen, for being with us and sharing.
You're welcome. It's been great to see you again.
Good to see you again, Eileen Newman. All right. Well, for more information, if you want, you can visit the website, bronxnotforprofits.org, and you'll get all the information that you need. We encourage you don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about poor Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shug, you know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for you. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
And welcome back. Poetry Me Please is a spoken word poetry community platform and event series providing a stage for poets across the world to showcase their talents through creative verbal expression. We're pleased to have sharing with us now the founder, CEO of Poetry Me Please, Rashan Brown, and good to have you, brother.
Feels good to be here.
Doing a lot of traveling, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Been a few places.
Been a few places. Told a lot of stories, did a lot of things, showcasing talent.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got this idea that you're showcasing, not an idea, but it's your business really, where you're showcasing talent, talking about poetry and really bringing it to a variety of different platforms.
Yeah. It's, when I think about the art of spoken word poetry, being able to bring that appreciation back to, of course, especially starting here in New York, so in the Bronx and, the cities and boroughs, and finding people that appreciate it, but also finding people that may not appreciate it and giving them something where they can say, like, listen, like, this is my first time experiencing poetry, and I actually like what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about poetry, people say, "Oh, there's always a stigma sometimes attached with poetry,
yeah,
right?"
yeah.
But then it becomes a different stigma when you say spoken word.
Yeah, so I always try to break it down into three types of shows, I would say, and then kind of dig a little deeper into the poetry realm. So when you think about spoken word or showcase is pre-selected poets. They know that they're performing, they're able to promote and let people know, like, hey, I'll be here at this time, and they get like that feature spotlight. Mm-hmm. And you have open mics, which are pretty much open. Anyone could come through and sign up, whether the day of or like actually at the event. And it's more of a free-for-all. It's kind of like fast-paced. And then you have slam competitions where someone is performing for a prize. So when people think about spoken word or poetry, they think about like these open mics. May or may not be reading from a book or a phone, and kind of just going through it. You have to be like a real poetry lover to like it. But we've been trying to change the narrative where poetry is more than just, someone on stage crying their souls out or, talking about, trials and tribulations that they've been through. It's a full-on experience with the Poetry Me Please. You get artists, musical acts with an intermission, a little bit of karaoke, a little bit of a party vibe. So you get a whole one-stop shop of what we offer, and it's a full table service dinner.
From your lay of the land, talk to me about how people are receiving this year, because you offered a lot at the table.
Yeah, it's been beauty. It's our first show, June 2021. We had about 80 guests per se, a small bar in Brooklyn. Now we've done shows over 400 people, where people are actually coming in, and we see that we have a strong percentage of about 40 to 47% of individuals that have never attended a poetry show. And what we're seeing with that stat is that people are loving what we're experiencing. They're reoccurring, they're returners. But then we have this almost half, you look into a room where people have never attended a poetry show, and they're coming into Poetry Me Please as this first time where they want to experience it. And then they're seeing like, wow, like this, like I had no idea this is what poetry could look like.
And when we talk about what poetry can look like, what is the takeaway for you in the work that you're doing and you're hoping that people take away?
It's threefold, actually. The first bit is providing artists with a platform. I think when I found out about, not found out, but I think when I saw the gap and the need where I wanted to connect quality poets with quality content, realizing that not all poets have the resources, the opportunities, the time to sit down and say, hey, I want to book out a space, I want to record what I'm doing, and then I want to showcase it, and I want to give it out, I want to promote it on my social media. So the fact that we can give artists not only photography, but they get professional videos. So they're getting 2 videos per poem. So to backtrack a little bit, poets get 7 minutes on stage, and that's ranging anywhere from 1 to 3 poems. And if an artist has 3 poems, they're getting 6 videos. Different angles, a mashup of the 2. They're getting photography, they're getting features on all of our social sites, and they get welcomed into a community of over 500 poets now across the world. And that's the first part. The second part is offering this experience to the actual guests. Guests are coming in, they're getting seated, they're ordering dinner, dessert. They're experiencing this full-on showcase where they are appreciating poetry more. So we've seen this, this burst of energy towards wanting to go out to more poetry shows and live showcases. And then the last part is creating content for myself. So finding a way that I'm able to weave in all of those 3, like that's like the true, the true takeaway for me.
Yeah, we were talking a little earlier. You taking your sites not just here, but international.
Yeah. So the first event that we did out in Accra, Ghana. We partnered with Afrofuture, and they have a festival in Ghana where they connect different talents, different cultures, different traditions, and we decided to go out there. We linked up with a few of the local poets. I actually was able to attend a slam competition when I was out there, and it was beautiful. It was, the show was on, I think, Saturday or Sunday, and then I was able to attend it on Wednesday. So I was able to communicate and say, listen, like we have something going on for local talents out here. We want to be able to not only connect you to the community that we have in the U.S., but we want to be able to give you this content as well. So we were able to connect with them. We had over 12 poets from Accra, Ghana, and it was great. The energy that we saw out there is like they have the same amount of passion that we have, and it's there's no difference. And then recently coming back from London, where we kept the same template. We partnered with an organization, private members club called the Kindred, that was out there. We connected with local London talent, and we were able to give them the same template: pictures, videography, features on our social sites, and again, welcome into a community of poets.
So there's a talent out there right now that says, listen, I'm interested, this is what I do. How do they get connected, and what's the process for them?
Oh, yeah, good question. So we have a running sign-up sheet that we have in all of our social sites. You can find it on our website, poetrymeplease.com. On our social sites, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Poetry Me Please. And it's a simple sign-up form where you're giving your name, where you're from, any bit of poetry, any bit of knowledge about, why you do poetry, why would you like to sign up to perform on the Poetry Me Please platform. And we do a random selection. So what we do is about 2 to 4 weeks out before our showcase, we take about 8 to 12 names and we just do a random selection. So, currently now we have over 500 poets. So think about like a number randomizer where we're choosing, let's just randomize it. And then, number 13 will pop up. We'll go and we'll see who's number 13, and we'll ask them like, hey, your number has been selected. Are you interested in attending or performing for our event that's coming up? And that's pretty much the process as we have right now.
So what if I'm a poet and I'm not too well? Maybe I need some work on my stuff. Do you offer the opportunity for me to get connected with people, to be able to sharpen my tools?
Oh, yeah, 100%. We do it in a few ways. So, we have plenty of people that reach out to me specifically as a spoken word artist myself, or someone on my team. And, they'll ask us like, hey, like, I'm interested in performing, but I'm nervous. This would be my first time. what we do is we let them know that we do take beginners, and there is no special criteria. Like, you don't have to have a certain amount of performances under your belt in order to perform. Like, anyone can start, and we've had a few individuals that have performed on our platform as their first time, and now they're doing phenomenal. I'll also set up, time to speak with them. If they can meet with me, maybe at a show that I'm doing, or if they just want to hop on a Zoom call, and I can kind of talk them through some of our techniques. And then now we're starting to do workshops where we're bringing in these poets and we're saying, like, hey, listen, like, it's not only about writing. We like to pride ourselves in the spoken word performance piece. So when you're up on stage and you have, you're looking at a crowd of over 400 people, we allow the guest in our space to interact with the poem, interact with the poets. So it's a little bit different when you're performing and you can just go from start to finish, versus when someone in the crowd will shout something at you, but they'll ask you to run it back, start from the top, and then you kind of have to go back, stop on a dime. So it's a little bit, it can be difficult depending on, the styles and, how well-versed you are in the performance style. So we like to highlight that and then give people different options of, how to combat that.
So there's hope for me.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, we'll get you in.
I have to look you up. Rashan, it's been good having you.
Pleasure.
Congratulations and much success.
Thank you.
And definitely got to come check out the show.
Oh, yeah. Listen, we got a show coming up on March 17th.
That's right. Well, tell the people, man.
Yeah, we got a show coming up on March 17th. It's an ode to our women. Big appreciation, obviously, for Women's History Month, where we're doing a full women lineup. So we have a host, our DJs, all of our talent, and we're doing an after party as well at SOBs. The doors open at 7:30. The show will start at 8:30, and it will end around 11:30 for the showcase, and then the after party will start.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, best wishes, Rashan Brown.
Thank you.
Founder and CEO, Poetry Me Please. And let you know, listen, if you want more information, visit the website, poetrymeplease.com. Then also follow them on social media at Poetry Me Please. And we say, please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Got more open coming up right after this.
Hey, boss. Okay.
I said I'm fine.
Me the babe, see you in the morning with the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it, and we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Thank you so much.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, amigo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
And welcome back. Our next guest takes the reader through her journey of self-reflection, growth, and healing while serving as a guide to girls and women all over the world who are facing hardship on how to overcome the challenges faced when coming into womanhood. Here now to share more information is the self-published author and holistic beauty therapist, Epiphany Kendell. And Epiphany, good to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And when we talk about just being able to help people through it, and I think, some of the work that you do actually does help people through it. So how do you feel about just overall the ability to be able to speak into somebody's life and to be able to make a difference?
I feel like, and I was thinking about it today, just like my purpose overall, because as I get older, I'm like, okay, what more can I do? What more can I get out while I'm here? And I feel like it's truly a blessing that God chose me. Because when you're going through things, you don't feel that way. But as I'm, you know, walking through life, I feel like I look back and I'm like, okay, okay, that meant that was for that. I went through this so that I can help somebody along the way on their path. So it's never in vain.
And for yourself, it's called Hood Girls Do It Better. How does a
Mhm.
hood girl do it better?
So basically, I wanted to speak to and speak for women like myself that are from, urban neighborhoods, from the hood. It's like, just because this is where we're from doesn't mean we can't accomplish certain things, doesn't mean that we can't heal. So yeah, we do it better. Also, not for nothing, everything comes from the hood. Style, the good foods, everything came from our roots.
And so you put this book together, and as you put the book together, you really said, listen, I want to talk about the roots, the style, but at the same time, I also want to send a message.
Yes. So I speak on things from that I experienced, from rape to molestation, low self-esteem. So I'm like, hey, these are things that we're going through, and silently. So it's like, don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed about what you're going through, because we're all experiencing life. And it takes a village. It takes a village to get through.
You, in essence, talk about the power of community, right? And how
Yeah.
it's important to have community. How important was community for yourself when you were having these, life challenges?
Oh my goodness. So I've had not only my mom, but there are times where you feel like you can't always go to mom. So I had my cousin's mom, I had my friend who lives across the building's mom, and that really, it made me feel like I wasn't alone. It made me feel like, okay, I can get through this. And they always say, okay, you lived, you learned. Now don't do that again.
Your book has definitely had some conversation to it. Some people are talking about it. Talk about what are some things that you hear coming out of it and the conversations that it invokes.
Yeah. So, when I speak, I have my thoughts on abortion, because I did speak on that, because that was something that I experienced. Not too many people were happy about that, you know what I mean? Because not everybody, is pro-choice and people pro-life. So that was one thing. And I think that also, because I speak about how when I went to church and kind of like expressed how I feel, those who aren't into church, they felt their ways about it. But overall, great feedback. Great feedback.
And you've got an upcoming book as well. Let's talk about that. Holistically
So
Hood.
yes, so actually I have two. I have Hood Girls Travel Too. It's basically speaking on there's life behind there's life past the block. Like there's things to do other than being on the block or in the hood. And then there's Holistically Hood, which is like a beauty lifestyle type of book. Just teaching girls how to eat better, how to just live a overall holistic life of wellness.
And also in your
Mhm.
repertoire of things that you have, you got a
Yeah.
spa. So
Yeah.
for our people who don't know about the spa,
Yeah.
we all need a spa day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So EK Studio, holistic beauty therapy, right? So it's beauty therapy that goes beyond the skin. I actually shut it down in August, but I am looking for new locations, because location is everything. What happened was I wanted to bring facials, and I also had a sauna. So these are in my space that I had was located near, our hood. And there are people who've never had facials before, and people who have never experienced a luxury setting when they're coming to get their beauty services. Also, sauna. There's people who've never been in a sauna, and I was able to provide that for prices that were affordable, and they loved it.
For women who really want to be empowered, what is it that you would give advice to them to say, listen, here are my life experiences. I've been able to overcome that. I'm an
Yeah.
author, got
Yeah.
businesses, but give a little tip, if you will, as to that key to empowerment that got you where you are today.
one thing, and Imani Cohen, she's someone that I follow on Instagram, the Hood Healer. She says, as long as you have breath, you have options. And that summed up what I've always felt. And it's like, I don't care if this door closes, I'm going to find another way to get it. It's like, just believing in yourself. You're here for a reason. That's all I think about all the time, even in my times of depression or unsurety. It's like, I'm here for a reason. I know what it is that I want, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. So it's like truly, truly knowing if you have, as long as you have breath, you have options.
For people who want to get the book, what do they do?
Yeah, Amazon.com, because I'm working on the website and just rebranding of it all. So you can type in Hood Girls Do It Better or Epiphany Kendell.
And for you, what was the breaking point to say, listen, you know what? Let me transform my experience into these products.
So I've always wanted to, so I've read back at like interviews I've done in school. I went to Catholic school and did all types of college programs at a young age. And it said I've always wanted to be a writer, a nurse, an actress, and a few other things. And I realized, like, as I'm growing, I'm like, oh, you're kind of doing those in that way. But it's like, I don't want my experience here to be in vain. So when girls were coming to me for advice, I'm like, why do they keep coming to me? My mom is like, you need to write a book. I'm like, write a book? How? You know? So once we figured that out, I'm like, this is what my life is for. My life is for me to experience what I'm experiencing and reach back and leave little gems for other girls to have some type of blueprint, because life be life in.
Yeah. But talk to me about this. When you talk about putting that book out, everybody can't do it. But you're actually a self-published author.
Yeah.
So the publishing piece, how'd you go through self-publishing?
So let me tell you what happened. I walked out when my mom, I swear, and this is how the universe and God works. Once we said we were writing a book, my mother came downstairs and there was a flyer in my hallway of a woman named Shaka. And she was from the neighborhood next to mine, and she put out a book. And I'm like, what? So I took that flyer down so I can have it for myself as motivation. Then I spoke with my uncle. Sorry about my dog. She's looking for her ball. My uncle who self-published. So he was like, no, this is how you got to do it. Go on the Amazon now, because they brought the self-publishing company, and it just started flowing. And once I got it, I said, oh, I'm never stopping.
Well, you aren't stopping. You got Hood Girls Do It Better. You got Holistically Hood. Got the Wellness Spa that's getting ready to come back sooner. So we want to thank you for taking the time with us today and being able to share with us. And listen, we're encouraged by seeing a superwoman like yourself, and keep up the great work.
Thank you for having me.
All righty, Epiphany Kendell, our guest. Now, if you want more information, follow her on Instagram at Epiphany Kendell. Excuse me, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us. Most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files, that's Channel 2133, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can watch a brand new episode of Open with Rena Valentine on Friday. This wraps up this episode. I am Daren Jaime. Make sure to keep this channel wide open. We're saying take care. God bless.